Hi guys, welcome to UX WTF, part 2.5, user testing. This is the last video in this series, and my name is Tory-Pratt. So what you should have right now, if you've been following along, you've got your core pieces of your project, you've made a prototype plan, and you've also built a lo-fi prototype that best simulates your core use case. So now what we're going to do is talk about what it's actually like to test that on a user. And that can be a little bit strange at times, and there's nothing like, for the very first time, putting something that you've made in front of a test subject and then watching how the way that they think things through is completely different than the way that you thought it would be. So what you need in order to conduct user testing, obviously you need a prototype, you need test subjects, and then you need a testing script that really summarizes, the information that you're trying to collect and how you're going to approach actually framing the test for the subject. So it's not too hard to find test subjects. Realistically speaking, it's ideal to go and find people who exactly match your ideal user profile that you built already in the form of a persona. But it's also okay to approach people or try and get user testing from people in cafes and things like that. One strategy that other UX designers have done and has been pretty effective is if you set up a booth inside of a cafe and just have a sign that says, "Ask me about free coffee." In exchange for free coffee, costs you $2, you can get some really great user insight on your product. If you're really, really stuck and you're having trouble actually getting people to test whatever you've made, you can actually test on even like your mom or your family or your drunk friends at a party. Drunk user testing, kind of a secret, but it actually can be very effective because people are going to be very blunt and things are going to need to be extremely intuitive for your drunk friends to be able to use what you've made. So as an example here, we're going to introduce what would maybe be a potential user test for Airbnb. So a few things to note about a good user test introduction or a good testing script. One, it should put your user at ease. It should reassure them that if anything seems confusing or doesn't make sense, that's not their fault. That in fact, it's actually useful for you to know about that. It also should give them a specific task to do and some context around that task. If you just hand someone something and just say use it, you're not going to get any useful information because when anyone's using your product, they have a goal in mind. So it's important to give your user a goal that's in line with what your ideal user would have. You also don't want to use any terminology from the interface in your explanation because that will give them clues that they wouldn't otherwise have about what to do and where to go. So as an example here's an introduction for the test for Airbnb. So you are planning a trip to San Francisco from February 26th to 28th. Make a list of some places you'd like and then find somewhere to stay. So ideally, what would happen in this case is that the person would do a search on the Airbnb website for San Francisco. They'd then see all of the available apartments and then use the wish list to create a list of their favorite places. Then ideally, they'd be able to find out where in the interface the wish list is and then go into it and actually pick the one that they want to stay in. So a few things about during the test. One is that if your user seems stuck or confused, don't explain. If they're confused, don't give them direction. You also want to encourage them to narrate their thoughts out loud so that you can listen to them and work through their logic with them. If they're not speaking and sort of telling you what you're thinking at each step, it makes it a lot harder to sort of get insights about what problems they're having or why they're maybe stuck on a particular step. It's also a good idea to record it. And, there is a little note icon there, but audio or video is generally the best way to record user tests. So now you've got your core idea, your MVP, your prototype plan, and you're set up for a user test. So now it's up to you to go out and use your prototype for a real-life user test and start collecting some results about what you need to change. That's the very last video in this series, and I want to say thank you for watching. Again, my name is Tory-Pratt. I'm a freelance UX designer and the design lead at Atto, which is a wellness game for companies. You can see my email and my Twitter handle there. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.